watching Bengals Breakdown by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Stone Shields. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be breaking down what exactly transpired here at Monday's Bengals training camp practice. Pretty noteworthy practice for Cincinnati. It is the first time that pads have been on for these Bengals players. Plenty of takeaways to discuss on today's show. A lot of which on the defensive side of the football, which I think certainly is interesting. Kind of has the feel that the defense is kind of won more days than the offense here so far in training camp, and I certainly think that's a positive sign for Zach Taylor and, of course, the entirety of the Cincinnati Bengals football team. So we're going to be breaking down some of those takeaways here on today's show. But before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already at youtube.com/BengalsTV. We are trying to get to 20,000 subscribers here at the channel prior to that first preseason game. We got less than 10 days to go before that happens, so help us out, hit that sub button if you haven't done so already. We'll have you covered all throughout training camp. Plenty of stuff to discuss now, right? We got through the end of June and the early stages of July. Now there's plenty of football to talk about, and you don't want to miss what we have here at Bengals Breakdown. So hit that subscribe button for me right now. All right, let's talk some of these takeaways. And I think the biggest name that popped on Monday was TJ Slaton. And I was a guy that was really excited when the Bengals landed Slaton in free agency. I think there's really no doubt that he is your most impactful guy that you landed in free agency. And to see him making an impact on the football field here in training camp is very, very noteworthy. Kris Jenkins Jr. kind of talked earlier in camp, was basically saying, yeah, he was trying to get a little too cute, used too many spin moves, what have you. Now he's just getting after guys, going downhill, rushing, bull rushing guys, and he's doing a great job of that. Apparently, it was tough for the beat reporters to see today kind of where they were positioned at practice, but they think there was about 4-ish sacks, and they think that several of those were accounted for by TJ Slaton. I think that certainly is a positive thing. Slaton only had 1 sack last year in Green Bay, but he's got that relationship with Jerry Montgomery, right? The two work together in Green Bay. Montgomery now, of course, Al Golden's defensive line coach. And I think that's really, really positive news for the Cincinnati Bengals if TJ Slaton can kind of be that guy to come in there and be that nose tackle for them here in this year, perhaps beyond as well. ESPN a couple of weeks ago released their depth chart, what have you, and they didn't list Slaton as a starter, and he was actually listed as the top backup to monitor. Don't think that's true. I think Al Golden, Zach Taylor want him to be that guy at nose tackle for Cincinnati, really applying pressure in the run game and the pass game as well, and hopefully he can do that. I'm really excited about him. I think he's going to have a really good year for Cincinnati, and they certainly need someone to step up in that regard because really ever since DJ Reader left, that hasn't been something that Cincinnati has been able to do a good job of, especially at that nose tackle position. I do want to make note, Sheldon Rankins talked publicly. He went back to the Houston Texans, of course. He was only with Cincinnati for 1 year last year, and it kind of was a disaster, as if you remember, he missed most of the season with an illness, and he had that hamstring issue to start the year, and things were pretty serious for Sheldon Rankins. We kind of speculated that, and ultimately it came out to be true. He was battling viral meningitis and shingles as well, so serious stuff for Sheldon Rankins. Lost nearly 50 pounds, said there were days where he couldn't even get out of bed. So very serious situation for Sheldon Rankins. His team decided to keep it under wraps and just say it was an illness. I mean, certainly respect that. He has the ability to do that. But Cincinnati, the city, the fan base was kind of dragging him, and he just kind of took it. I mean, if he would have came out and publicly said, hey, I'm dealing with shingles, I got this viral meningitis, what have you, I think people would have, viewed the situation with Sheldon Rankins a lot differently. But instead, he kind of was like seemingly a villain to the fan base for the most part, and that obviously is not a good thing. So we're certainly happy that Sheldon Rankins is back. He appears to be healthy now, and wish him nothing but the best with the Houston Texans, but did want to update you on that as well. But back to TJ Slaton. Do you think he is going to be an impactful piece for Cincinnati in 2025? Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. Type Y for yes or N for no for me in the comments right now. Let's stick on defense here for a second, then we'll talk offensive line. Sack from Myles Murphy. Positive, right? Now or never for Myles Murphy. We have talked about that. Apparently, it was a really nice inside move on Orlando Brown Jr. That certainly is positive as well. Joseph Osai apparently showed out today as well. There was a swing pass designed for Yoshi, Andre Yosavash, and that was blown up by Joseph Osai. Also, there was a really nice blitz from Demetrius Knight Jr. that got home. I think at this point, he's going to be that guy next to Logan Wilson as that linebacker, starting linebacker for Cincinnati. And I think there's a real world where your first three picks, Shemar Stewart, Demetrius Knight Jr., and Dylan Fairchild, are all starters in week one. I think that could possibly be a situation for the Cincinnati Bengals. And speaking of Shemar Stewart, had a big day. This is practice number 2, obviously, for Shemar Stewart after finally coming to an agreement on his contract. He had back-to-back pass breakups. There's clips of those on social media. So really impressive stuff there from Shemar Stewart, making his presence felt early on. That is positive. And he got some first-team reps as well. Again, they need him to come in and be impactful. They've really struggled in that department as far as rushing the quarterback outside of Trey Hendrickson. Of course, Trey Hendrickson is not with the football team right now. Will make note, the first rep he got with the first team, he was actually offsides, so that certainly is something to keep an eye on. But it's a rookie. Things happen. Hopefully this kind of stuff can get ironed out here in training camp. And, this is day 2 with him playing football after the long holdout, or whatever you want to call it. So certainly something of note, but he was able to settle down and really do a great job as far as that goes. Now, let's talk offensive line here for a second for the Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Brown was showing a lot of love to Dylan Fairchild, and Dylan Fairchild continues to get all the reps with the first teamers as far as that left guard position goes. It is his battle, or his job, to lose. Scott Peters said that. Zach Taylor has commented on that. And Chase Brown was saying that he thinks Fairchild is going to do a great job. He comes in with the right mindset, attacks every single day, and kind of feels like he's going to be the guy. Obviously, he's got to play well, and he's got to show that he can be the guy to protect Joe Burrow there at that left guard spot. But he's getting every opportunity to do so. And Cordell Volson is getting all the reps with the second team at that left guard spot, which certainly is very interesting at this point. As we sit here on July 28th, it feels like he's going to get cut, right? When you're talking about Cordell Volson, that's just kind of my vibe. He hasn't even gotten first team reps. And mind you, that right guard spot is still wide open, and they're not even testing out Cordell Volson at that right guard spot as of now. Cody Ford is the guy getting all of those reps for Cincinnati. That's interesting. I've said my piece on that before. A world where he's a starter for you isn't really a world that I want to live in with Joe Burrow as your quarterback. Not to disrespect Cody Ford. If he's your sixth guy, that swing guy that can play inside and out, yeah, great. Love that. But it kind of feels like you're at this point that Cody Ford is going to be that guy at right guard for the Cincinnati Bengals. Lucas Patrick, of course, had that lower leg injury that we talked about on a previous video. He was still out and missed practice, so that is very noteworthy as well. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here at Bengals Breakdown. Who do you want to start at right guard? Let me know. Get that name for me down in the comment section of today's show. Is it a guy that a lot of people aren't talking about? Jackson Kirkland, perhaps, former undrafted guy, missed the entirety of last year with an injury, but had a really good preseason and camp last year. Could he be a guy that could come in and potentially compete for that spot? He's not getting first-team reps here at this point, but regardless, get that name for me down in the comment section of today's show. Who do you want to start at right guard? Let's close out today's show talking a little bit about the secondary, and that we're going to start here with Josh Newton. Josh Newton has got a lot of love. Of course, he was your 5th-round rookie last year out of TCU, so this is now year 2 for Josh Newton. The coaching staff loves him, and the players on this football team love him as well. He's a guy that really is a vocal guy. He's a leader. He shows up. He's cut from an incredible cloth as far as his competitiveness and his work ethic. And he got thrust into duty last year after injuries. I think for the most part did a good job as a 5th-round rookie. Was he great? No. Did he get beat? Some. But I think overall Newton did a nice job when he was called upon as a rookie. And he's getting reps with the first teamers. They're kind of easing Dax Hill back. He's with the first team, but he's getting reps in the slot, which is interesting. And all those guys are going to be moved around. But the fact that they went with Josh Newton over DJ Turner II there at that cornerback spot is definitely very, very noteworthy, and we'll continue to monitor that as we progress. The Bengals offense, of course, has made their fair share of big plays, a lot of which have come against DJ Turner II. He struggled at the beginning of last year. If you remember, Dax Hill beat him out in camp last year, and then he kind of was a backup, and then ultimately he ended up working his way into the lineup, started to play his best football of his career, then had that broken clavicle against the Los Angeles Chargers that ended his season. Seems like right now they've got Newton as a guy that has an edge over DJ Turner, as Turner has given up his fair share of big plays. As I mentioned, Dax Hill in the slot. And we'll see. Dax Hill's your best one, in my opinion, where he ends up. Only time will tell. But Al Golden, he doesn't have a ton of depth here with his DBs. They're all going to have to be versatile and all have to play in different spots. And I think that kind of is the vibe you're getting right now at Bengals training camp, as they're all moved around playing those different spots. I do want to make note, Charlie Goldsmith, who's got Charlie's chalkboard, of course, does a great job covering the Cincinnati Bengals and, of course, the Cincinnati Reds. He said arguably that was the play of training camp to this point, from Josh Newton breaking up a pass going from Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase. So those are your two best players right there, and apparently it was a great PBU from Josh Newton, so certainly something to monitor in that regard. Day one of fully padded practice in the books. Bengals had the pads on today, shoulder pads and helmets, of course, and that is in the books. That is now behind us, and it seems like another big day for the defense, which, again, I'm not really opposed to be completely honest with you. It's a unit that needs to be so much better, and if the reports continue to come out that say, hey, the defense is continuing to win these days, that's fine with me. I know Joe Burrow and the boys offensively, they'll get it figured out for the regular season, hopefully before, but they will be just fine. I am not worried about them. If the defense is showing out making good plays, I think that is certainly a good sign for Cincinnati. We'll have more videos for you guys throughout the remainder of the week. Make sure you guys give me a follow on Twitter if you haven't done so already, at StoneShields_.